they were there to finish a degree. They had already started one place, but they had finished their degree at Morehead. So, it fell into a situation that if you were a freshman, and I had the opportunity to talk to Prentice Galt, who was the first black athlete to play at University of Oklahoma. He has since passed. But we shared the idea that being freshmen, you really had the opportunity to be hidden away. No one really knew who we were. When I was in high school, we played Olive Hill High School. We played Grayson. We played Hitchens. We played Sandy Hook. We played, oh goodness. These are mostly white high schools in eastern Kentucky, Greenup County and Raceland and a lot of the towns. And so when I got there, because the Ashland Daily Independent, I was there, that was the paper that was distributed throughout eastern Kentucky, people knew who I was. It was not a surprise. It was a surprise when they saw me absolutely beginning to play, because it had never happened. So Ed Luke was the coach, and super guy. He was able to make the transition a lot easier. He was tough. He would lean, make sure you were moving forward, and I'd say, that's what I need. I need to get better. And he was just a super coach to have around. So I was beginning to develop into a college ball player.
Entering Morehead State athletics, you were the first non-white person to play for the school in the OVC.
Right.
What were your thoughts of having these titles, knowing you were going into that situation?
Well, it's one thing I really reflect on it now is that 18-year-old kids who get a chance to play basketball, that's what we want to do. We want to play basketball. All these other issues and all this other, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to play basketball. And so even playing, once I crossed the white stripe to go onto the court, you focus on the game. That's, and a lot of the nonsense that's going on, there were plenty of racial epithets, thrown at, as I entered to play. And I'm sure they went on while I was playing, but it was such that I was really focused. I was playing in Pikeville, Kentucky. We were playing Pikeville Junior College. And so I remember a guy came through the door. He had on these bib overalls, had the beard, and he was a big guy. He walked in, and so he looked around, and I just happened to be on that side. I was shooting. He said, "Oh my goodness!" Closed the door, then let one of them in here. And it just all of a sudden, here I am, and saying, "Oh, okay." So we get started. The game is underway. I get the ball. I shoot it, and I shoot it over the basket. Missed it completely. Luke looks at me, he said, "You okay?" I said, "Coach, I'm okay. But, just that whole incident like that, if I just could focus, and it was taking me just a little longer to make the adjustment, but I thought I was doing okay. But being the first, I think being that freshman year really allowed the transition to take place. And I think Prentice related that same thing, that he was able to make the transition to the varsity because of the freshman year. I guess, probably talking to Oscar, even though Oscar Robinson went to University of Cincinnati, Cincinnati is in southern Ohio. And it could be that if we moved the border of Kentucky just north of Cincinnati, it would be it would be right in the border state area there. It's really tough. So he probably could relate some of the similar things as a freshman.
Talk a little bit about, so you came to play basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and after your freshman year, things started to change, and then you transitioned to be cross country. Talk about that process. What happened there?
Good. Well, as I say, I played as a freshman. The freshman year went well. I kept getting better. I remember I called home after one game it was, and I really had a good game. And I told Mom, I said, look, I finally scored 20. First time, you know. And it was just taking time to do that. And she said, well, okay, we'll hang in there. So summer, I was a lifeguard at the segregated pool in Ashland. Again, like the school, Booker T was next door to me. The playground, the Dawson Memorial Park playground, was right down the stairs from me. And so I didn't have to go too far. But I was a lifeguard to pick up some extra nickels just to hang out in the summertime. And a lot of girls came to the pool. That was another reason, right? But I practiced again. I was able to have a good summer practice, and was ready to make it to the varsity. And as I transitioned, we're officially not supposed to start practice until October, but as any coach knows that the practice starts as soon as school starts. We were there, and so we were practicing. Things were going well, and as I say, that the other guards, Herbie Triplett and Hecky Thompson, Granville Williams, those guys were good. I mean, they'd played the year before. They had played on the same team with Steve Hamilton, and Steve had moved the university to being one of the top universities of basketball in not only in the state but nationally. Steve went on to play with the Minneapolis Lakers, which later on moved to L.A. and became the L.A. Lakers, but he was there before he went with the New York Yankees. So again, there was a recognition that if you're going to play at Morehead State, you'd better bring it. Fast break team, moved. It was a constant moving, but we'd picked this up as freshmen. We knew the type of offense and defenses that were running, and the fast break was absolutely just coming on board then. So everybody was beginning to make that transition. The big guys now, 6'5" or whatever, they were not only forwards, but they were being transitioned into guards. And so that just because of the concept of the fast break itself. So at that time, I had no problem with it. I was playing, I was practicing well, beginning to move up, and then the season started. But prior to getting to that level, I had one indication that things weren't going to go as well as I thought, and the issue was this. We were taking the official team photograph for the 59-60 season. And so it clearly shows that I'm in the photograph, on one photograph, and I'm absent on the other one. And then what happened then, while we were taking the photograph, Coach Bob Laughlin asked me to stand next to him. And so I have no idea what the reason for until later. He said, we're going to take two pictures, and I want you to step out of the second picture. And I said, well, any problem? No problem. Well, it comes to be, it was a problem because some of the teams refused to play if they had any black athletes on the team. And we were scheduled to play Mississippi State. It was a home and home situation. They had played in Mississippi the year before, and they were scheduled to come to Morehead that year in '59 in December. And so I go down to the field house, getting ready to play, and as a result, I am told by Laughlin at that time, no, you will not be able to play or dress tonight. And I'm saying, well, Coach, what's the problem? He says, the policy is that Mississippi State will not play if you're on the team. I said, well, why didn't you explain this to me yesterday? I could be prepared to deal with this. And I sat in the locker room for a while, and then I came out, and I go back up in the stands. And at that time, I had a pretty good following from the gang from Ashland, who basically wanted to know, was, wait a minute, why are you in the bleachers? That we can't explain this. And so Dr. Doran saw me come out of the locker room, and I don't know whether or not Laughlin had gone through this with him or not, or whatever. And he said, we need to talk. And so, basically we were there. But after the next day, I clearly wanted to know what the problem was. And surely when I opened the program for the game that evening, I was not in there. Photograph wasn't there, but my name was still listed as a member of the team. And so that was a true indicator, taking that picture. But I never officially played in any game while I was, before I gave up playing with the team itself. Long discussion with Mom and Dad as to what was going on. I couldn't put my hand on it. What was the problem? It wasn't that I wasn't playing well. I wasn't hustling or really playing hard. In fact, Steve Hamilton, who came back, I was the assistant basketball coach with Laughlin. Sonny Allen was one of the coaches on the team. Ed Luke was still there. Lake Kelly was also a assistant coach. But they basically knew and didn't disclose that issue until I had several years later. They explained to me what had actually happened, but I just knew. Maybe if I had had someone to sit and talk with to make sure that I'm making the right decision, or I should have hung in there and stayed with the team or whatever, I just could not stand the fact that I was not being able to, I wasn't able to play, and it was frustrating for me. So that was and I say at the end of the Christmas break, I went home, made the decision, came back, and told Coach Laughlin that this was, I was no longer going to stay for the team. And he wanted to know, was it something he had said or something? I said, Coach, this is just not working. It's not working. And when I told him that, I told him in practice, he immediately gets up. He runs to the phone, calls Dr. Doran, and tells him, because I had not talked to Dr. Doran, possibly if I'd gone to Dr. Doran first, I would have just hung in there, dealt with the nonsense, but I just somehow couldn't deal with it. Another incident happened. We had played Ohio University, and we were doing okay, and I'm thinking that I would get into the game. Didn't get in. Now, we were scheduled to go to Western Kentucky the next day. And so we pack, get ready to go to Bowling Green. And the manager, JP, came up to, at that time we stayed at Thompson Hall, which is a women's dorm now. Right? But he knocks on the door, he tells me, he said, look, coach sent me up to tell you that you're not going to go with the team. They haven't made the arrangements, the motel arrangements and the eating arrangements have to, he couldn't work them out. And I'm saying, well, I can't believe that this is, you're telling me this at this point, that I am not going to go with the team. And again, the Mississippi State game, he tells me, the night of the game, now he waits until we were ready to leave. I said, well, why didn't you tell me, while we were packing and ready to leave? He said, we'll talk when we get back. And I said, well, okay. I said, but last year, I was running track just as, something to do. And the OVC track meet was at Bowling Green at Western Kentucky. So I'd gone there, stayed in a motel, had no problem at all. And then all of a sudden now, Coach Laughlin says there is a problem for me to travel to Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I'm saying, okay. Again, here's the issue. We are now in a situation where I get the picture. The next move is that I'm in a situation where I'm not playing at home. But yet and still, I'm still at practice and still hustling and all of these things. They just began to build on me, and I just said, I was disappointed, extremely disappointed. But that was a choice I made. I made the choice, and I just was not going to do that. What happened in that situation was that Dr. Dorn explained to Coach Laughlin is that he is going to remain a part of the team. And so I end up, as to maintain the portion of the scholarship itself I had, was to become a trainer on the team. I had to have and remain, with the team itself. And so I was a trainer, and I looked at the raconteur. 1962. And so they list all the teams in there, the basketball team, and they list Marshall Banks, trainer. That was a little tough because now, also in there, they show me winning the OVC in track. Totally different sport, totally different sport. Could we take a little break?
We sure could.
Okay.
Let's check the time. We might need to feed the meter.
Okay.
Or we can move to
It's
the
10:03.
parking spot. Oh, what time do you need us at 10:30?
Yeah, it's like 10:30.
Well, what you need to do is just move it
We can move it, yeah.
and take it, and you park right across the street?
Yeah. We gotta stick it in here.
Yeah, all you need to do is drive up to, I'll show you. All right, it's just, if you just drive around a block,
Yeah.
and there's a one-way street right here, you can park anywhere on that street.
Can I talk you into moving? We'll just sit here. There's the path.
And get some water.